Major General Murhaf Abu Qasra is a prominent Syrian military officer and politician currently serving as the Minister of Defense in the Syrian Transitional Government. His appointment on December 21st, 2024, came as part of a broader effort to institutionalize and unify the military forces of the former Syrian opposition after the overthrow of the Assad regime. Born in Halfaya, Hama, Syria, in 1984, Murhaf Abu Qasr holds a bachelor's degree in agricultural engineering from the University of Damascus, where he graduated in 2008. Before the Syrian civil war, he worked in his field of study. However, with the escalation of the conflict in 2011, he fled to Idlib with his family and quickly began to utilize his agricultural engineering expertise to support the armed opposition. He applied his technical skills to military efforts rather than simply joining as a fighter. Abu Qasra became a key figure and prominent commander with the Syrian armed opposition, known by his noms de guerre Abu Hassan al-Hamawi and Abu Hassan 600. He joined Hayat Tahrir al-Sham (HTS) when it was formed in 2017 and was responsible for the creation of its drone unit, the Shaheen Brigades, highlighting his focus on developing and incorporating modern military technology. He gained recognition as a military capabilities engineer, which involved organizing and leading operations and coordinating and executing key military strategies. His role was crucial in planning and overseeing training, armament, and strategy for the HTS-led opposition forces. He noted the absence of centralized decision-making and unity among military factions as a primary difficulty in the early stages of the conflict. He worked to transform a chaotic structure into an organized system, establishing military brigades with clear objectives and strategies to face well-trained regular armies like those of Iran and Syria and Russia. He observed that when Russia entered the conflict, their enemies changed their strategies and bolstered their capabilities, which necessitated the opposition also adapting their tactics away from outdated formations. He emphasized that courage alone is not enough in modern warfare, which requires solid military prowess against enemies with sophisticated capabilities including day and night reconnaissance, night combat, and precise artillery coordination integrated with surveillance. Abu Qasr was instrumental in the 2024 Syrian opposition offensives that ultimately led to the overthrow of the Assad regime. For instance, he played a significant role in planning and overseeing the training, armament, and strategy of the operation. He revealed that the decision for the November 2024 operation was reached approximately 3 to 4 months prior. They conducted covert mobilization, disguising troop movements as civilian activities, even using public buses to create a lull and distract the enemy. He described the quick fall of Aleppo within days with minimal casualties, attributing it to meticulous preparation to ensure essential services were not disrupted and police, service units, and hospitals were ready to function. He also noted open communication and reassurances to the public were vital in dispelling fears. He called the three-day battle for Hama and observing the regime apparatus crumbling, with people seeking amnesty. He was among those who continued directly to Damascus after operations in Homs, describing seeing defected soldiers heading in the opposite direction as they entered the capital. His experiences highlight his evolution from an engineer to a strategic military leader, focused on organization, technological development, and effective planning in the context of a prolonged and complex civil war. As the military leader of HTS, Abu Qasra was responsible for the security of the areas administered by the Syrian Salvation Government (SSG), defending them from regime attacks and ensuring the stability needed for the SSG to operate. The success of the Syrian Salvation Government in governing Idlib and other HTS-controlled areas was directly dependent on HTS's military capabilities. Abu Qasra, as a key military capabilities engineer and strategist, was instrumental in planning and executing the military operations that allowed Hayat Tahrir al-Sham to consolidate and maintain control over these territories, thereby enabling the Syrian Salvation Government to function. While the SSG managed civilian resources, HTS's military wing controlled military resources, training, and equipment within the de facto state they created. When the Assad regime fell in December 2024, the caretaker government was initially formed, with many of its members, including its interim prime minister, having previously served in the Salvation government that ran Idlib province. Murhaf Abu Qasra, as the longtime military commander of HTS, was then appointed as the Minister of Defense in this new caretaker government. and later maintained his position in the formally constituted transitional government. This shows a direct transition of power and personnel from the HTS-led military structure that underpinned the SSG to the new national government. In essence, while he wasn't a civilian minister within the SSG, his role as the military leader of HTS was fundamental to the Syrian Salvation Government's existence and ability to govern. His experience in leading the military wing of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham directly positioned him to become the Minister of Defense in the post-Assad Syrian government. Murhaf Abu Qasra's appointment as defense minister is a key development in the formation of the new Syrian government following the overthrow of the Assad regime in December 2024. The announcement of his appointment was made by Ahmed al-Shara, who was at the time the general commander of the Military Operations Command and who then became the president of the Syrian Transitional Government. This appointment was part of a broader effort to institutionalize and unify the military forces of the former Syrian opposition. It marked a significant step toward merging all opposition factions into a single institution under the Ministry of Defense, aiming to unify military operations in post-Assad Syria. When the transitional government was formally formed on March 29, 2025, Murhaf Abu Qasra maintained his position as Minister of Defense. This indicates his continued central role in the new administration's plans for military integration and national security. His appointment is seen as a crucial step in building a new Syrian army out of the various armed factions that fought against the Assad regime. As Minister of Defense, Murhaf Abu Qasra's primary goals are centered on fundamentally reshaping Syria's military landscape after the fall of the Assad regime. Unifying all military units under a single command is the most critical and frequently stated goal. He has emphasized that no group will be allowed to act outside the Defense Ministry's authority, and that all military units must be integrated into a unified institutional framework. He has met with approximately 130 factions to discuss a new army structure and aims to achieve significant success in integrating them. Syria's landscape is dotted with numerous armed groups, each with distinct ideologies, loyalties, and combat doctrines. Integrating these diverse groups, which include former opposition factions, like those from the Syrian National Army, the Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, and potentially remnants of the former regime's forces into a single cohesive national army is a monumental task. Disputes over hierarchy, resource allocation, and command positions are likely to emerge. The new authorities have dissolved the Assad-era army and security agencies. Abu Qasra must oversee the dismantling of existing military structures, including HTS's own armed wing, and absorb personnel into the new framework. This involves classifying fighters, retraining, and ensuring that weapons are under state control. The various factions often lack consensus on Syria's primary security threats, internal versus external, and the country's overall strategic vision. Establishing a unified national combat doctrine, standardized training, and coordinated operations is a lengthy and complex process. Abu Qasra seeks to create a professional volunteer army with a national doctrine that is loyal to the Syrian nation and its people, rather than to a particular political faction or regime. He has announced that military service will be voluntary, aiming to attract loyal soldiers and contrasting it with the previous mandatory conscription. He emphasizes establishing a national military doctrine that protects the Syrian people. Recognizing that the former Syrian army's reputation was tarnished by crimes against citizens, Abu Qasra aims to restore trust between the army and its people. This involves ensuring accountability and preventing future abuses, with the ministry working with the Interior Ministry to pursue remnants of the former regime and prevent abuses against Syrians. Abu Qasra is focused on transitioning the army from a revolutionary framework to an institutionalized and modernized military. This includes reorganizing the armed forces and enhancing efficiency in institutional operations, restoring military educational facilities to prepare new recruits, activating and recruiting officers and personnel, including defected officers from the previous regime who are eager to contribute, and developing a moral and political guidance department within the ministry to focus on military doctrine and foster a national spirit. A key objective is to confiscate illicit weapons and restrict all arms to state control, preventing them from being used for illegal activities or by unauthorized groups. While prioritizing internal unification, Abu Qasra has also alluded to addressing threats from abroad, including the presence of foreign fighters and the need to liberate occupied areas of the country, potentially through peaceful means, but with the understanding that force could be used if necessary. He has also indicated a capacity to deal with groups like ISIS. To achieve his goals as Minister of Defense, Murhaf Abu Qasra will rely heavily on several key individuals and institutions within the new Syrian government and military structure. President of the Syrian Transitional Government, Ahmed al-Shara, provides the political mandate and overarching strategy direction for military integration. Abu Qasra is a close ally and was appointed by al-Shara, indicating a unified vision from the top. His support is critical for overcoming resistance from factions and for securing necessary resources. As the Chief of General Staff, Ali Nuruddin al-Nasan works directly with Abu Qasra on the operational aspects of military unification. He leads the appointments committee responsible for placing division commanders and senior officials, focusing on technical military experts. His role is vital in the day-to-day implementation of the integration plan. The leaders of approximately 130 armed groups that have agreed to integrate into the Ministry of Defense will also be critical. Their cooperation in dissolving their former structures, handing over personnel and weapons, and accepting new roles within the National Army is critical for the success of unification. Figures like Muhammad al-Jassim, Abu Amsha, and Saif al-Adin Bolad Abu Bakr, who are reportedly being named as leaders of divisions, will be vital. Abu Qasr has expressed a desire to recruit defected officers from the former Syrian army who have experience in a formal military structure. Their expertise in military planning, logistics, and traditional army operations will be invaluable in building a professional force. The Ministry of Defense itself is the central institution for implementing Abu Qasra's goals. It is responsible for developing the new army structure and military doctrine, overseeing the integration committees that count personnel and weapons, establishing military bases, and geographically distributing forces, forming specialized military units such as air defense, infantry, and armored divisions, and creating a moral and political guidance department. The restoration and reform of military educational facilities is crucial for training new recruits and educating future military leaders to meet modern requirements. Abu Qasra has stated that the Ministry of Defense is collaborating with the Interior Ministry to pursue remnants of the former Assad regime, confiscate illicit weapons, and ensure all arms remain under state control, which is essential for internal security and establishing state authority. The support of other ministries within the transitional government, such as the Finance Ministry for funding and the Justice Ministry for legal frameworks, will be necessary to provide the resources and legal backing for military reforms. In essence, Murhaf Abu Qasra's success hinges on strong leadership from the top, the effective functioning of the new Ministry of Defense, and the genuine cooperation of the numerous armed groups and their commanders in laying down previous loyalties for a unified national structure.